Hello, nice to meet you online. My name is Kwangbok Lee, and I use my English name, Ryan, so please call me Ryan. So I am the head of Smart Infrastructure and Urban Development Department in KIND, Korea Overseas Infrastructure and Urban Development Corporation. Today I would like to discuss Korea's overseas smart city projects, focusing on KCity Network program. I know you've been learning about Korea's domestic smart city projects from other courses. As far as I know, this is the only course about overseas smart city projects, so it could be helpful for you. So I would like to start what makes Korea the best partner for smart city development. Korea is the best partner for smart city as it has world-leading construction ICT companies and proactive G2G supports. So construction capacity and appropriate or cutting-edge ICT technology are crucial for the realization of smart city, but that is not enough. Korean government has very proactive G2G supports, including funding and private sector coordination. And if it is supported by knowledge and experience sharing, including Korea's trials and errors, and Korean Ministry's policy advisory, that could realize faster, better smart city for your country. So let's look at the private sector situation first. Korea's contractors and developers and smart solution companies, which are IT companies, and there are financial institutions that can be investment banks or alternative investors. Let's see their projects and their success factors. Of course, the construction companies and developers, they have district level development to city level development, and some group companies, they have commercial and residential development, and some of the Korean governmental company, they have industrial park projects. The success factors could be long-term and group level backup, and some of the small and medium-sized companies, they have cost leadership, and also the timely entrance and exit was one of the success factors. And it is very important to receive central and regional government's trust and supports. Let's see the IT companies' projects. The most cases, e-government infrastructure and applications were very successful in overseas as well. And smart mobility and smart home, smart healthcare projects are following, and smart energy, water, environment are very crucial for the city level projects. And the success factors is, of course, they have abundant references in domestic market, and they are very advanced in terms of technologies in IoT or artificial intelligence or big data or batteries and ESS and mobility. Lastly, there are some Korean investment banks and financial institutions that do the alternative investment. Their projects are mainly about offices in major cities like capital cities and hotels and resorts. Sometimes they do the renovation, including yellow field investments. The important success factors were those brownfield or yellow field projects are less risky than greenfield projects, and they make the timely exit or resale, or they do the redevelopment or renovation that can bring value added. So all these projects can be categorized as smart city development projects in general terms. Let's see the public sectors. There are important infrastructure governmental institutions like LH, Land and Housing Corporation, and K-Water. Their projects are mainly industrial parks and new city development. Especially K-Water, they are focusing on smart water management. And there is export credit agencies, Korean Exim Bank and K-Sure. They bring export credits, and especially Korea Exim Bank, they can provide very general terms of soft loan, which is called EDCF. K-Sure, they provide guarantees and insurance, and there is also the program called knowledge sharing program. And KOICA, and there are many municipalities that had the budgets for the grants. And ministries, especially Ministry of Economy and Finance and Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport, they have the grants, and they continue G2G discussion, and they are very active in information exchange, and they set up the strategy and policy. And there are 5 example projects which shows Korea's overseas urban development projects. There is Iraq Bismaya city. One Korean private company, they had built a trusted relationship with the government. They didn't withdraw their project site even during the civil war. So they won the trust from the government, and those trusted relationship with the government can give favorable contract terms. Vietnam Nabe city. It took very long time to finalize the land acquisition and compensation. So it is a very frequent delay factor for urban development projects. So there is a requirement for deliberate planning, and legal enforcement can be very helpful. There is Star Lake City near Hanoi. And for this development, they were successful to recruit governmental institution called KDB, Korea Development Bank. And such involvement can enhance the project credibility and lead to faster syndication when they do the project financing. Kuwait Abdullah City is led by Land and Housing Corporation of Korea. And luckily, Kuwait government understand the market risk of residential projects, so they decided to take the risk of residential area. So this kind of risk sharing can be really helpful for project realization. Lastly, Bolivia Santa Cruz New Town. Master plan and feasibility study was supported by Korean government, and this kind of work can be a great starting point to develop new cities. So these were the success factors. While both private and public sectors are very active in overseas cooperation, some recent breakthroughs were introduced by the public sector. So Korea's public sector introduced KIND. You can understand KIND as Korea's bilateral IFC. So it was founded in June 2018. It was not very old institution, but its main purpose is very clear. It develops and invests in infrastructure and a smart city in overseas. And there's a new program by Ministry of Economy and Finance called EIPP, Economic Innovation Partnership Program. So this is the upgraded form of knowledge sharing program. And it was launched this year, and it provides multi-year program level support to 3 countries for now, Indonesia and Uzbekistan and Myanmar. There is also KCity Network program. It is launched by MOLIT, and it is Smart City Specialized Program. It was also launched in this year, and it provides project planning and funding support. And KIND is the operating institution for both of these programs of EIPP and KCity Network programs. So let's look at the KCity Network. Why is it relevant for you? So this is a new initiative to promote a smart city-focused G2G cooperation, and eventually they like to expand this kind of cooperation to smart sector collaboration and investments. It used to be called KSCON, Korea Smart City Open Network. So its name itself means it wants to build a mutual network among countries. And it is under Urban Policy Division, MOLIT. And this G2G discussion and cooperation platform is only specialized for smart city development. There are 4 components of this program. One is project planning support, and they like to build overseas smart city cooperation centers. And of course, knowledge exchange and field training in Korea, and financial investment supports. So let's get each component's progress within this year. For the first project planning support, this proposal request for proposal was open from late January to mid-March. And 80 project proposals were received, and 12 projects were selected for planning supports. Now, the concept planning, master planning, pre-feasibility study, and feasibility study are undergoing. Secondly, they decided to build 4 smart city cooperation centers within this year. So KIND is jointly working with KOTRA, and on the 4 KOTRA centers, they launched these smart city cooperation centers. The cities are Hanoi, Jakarta, Bangkok, and Istanbul. This knowledge exchange and field training part is having difficulties due to COVID situation. So the initial plan was invite 70 persons to Korea, but we had to change it to online. So this content for the knowledge exchange is under development. Lastly, financing and investment support. The actual realization depends on the financing of the projects, and KIND itself as the investing institution, we are closely monitors the projects. And on top of global infrastructure funds, there is new fund called Plant Infrastructure and Smart City Funds. All these funds and direct investment can facilitate the financing of the projects. And you can be confused, KCity Network with ODA. It's similar. It can be understood as ODA, but its primary purpose is very different. Its purpose is develop the actual projects and share each other's best technology and practices, which will be helpful for developing projects. So it is differentiated with ODA. And the target projects are smart city level, large scale projects, and smart solution level, small to mid scale projects as well. And the essence of the KCity Network is the project planning supports. I would like to explain about the procedure. So when you have these important smart city projects, and Korea is your partner country with extensive smart city experiences and strong will to build a smart city focused partnership. So in the first quarter of every year, we will open the request for application. Then you prioritize projects and you choose the format of the planning support, whether it can be concept planning or master planning or feasibility study. Then you submit the application, and early second quarter, we do the selection. And late second quarter, we open the tenders for each of the projects planning. And this is a very important process. This tender will have the project scope, the project planning scope, and this scope should be discussed with your country and together with the MOLIT and KIND. So with the well-set project planning scope, then the actual project planning is performed within third quarter to the next year. So eventually, the target of this project planning support is we can build a stronger partnership, and by planning the projects, it can actually enhance the progress of the projects, and eventually it triggers financing and investment. And this is the annual calendar. So as you see, we like to target this KCity Network as an annual program. We can finish all the procedures from project selection to final report within 1 year. This was the infographic when we opened the request for proposal in early January. So what were the potential projects and which are being supported? From 80 project applications received from 23 countries, we were able to realize the strong needs for smart city development around the world. We've been discussing with MOLIT, and MOLIT only expected around 20 applications. but we received an 80 project applications. So it was more than surprising to realize what kind of strong needs you would have for benchmark Korea's smart city cases. When it comes to region, ASEAN countries and CIS countries have submitted most project applications. When it comes to sector, city level development has the most, and transport, e-government, and other projects are following. So if you look at the region and country, ASEAN countries submitted most project applications, especially Malaysia submitted 9 project applications from different municipalities. And Turkey, they submitted 11 project applications. If you look at the smart city level project and smart solution level projects, those are about 31 and 46. And these are the 12 projects finally selected from 2020 KCity Network. So the upper 6 are smart city development, and the 6 in the below, they are smart solution development. So let's look at one by one. Indonesia's most important project now is the new capital city. So this KCity network support is about the smart city basic planning, including water resources and waste resources for the new capital city. Malaysia, among so many applications is submitted, Kota Kinabalu Smart City was chosen because from 2019, MOLIT was supporting this smart city project for important tourist area, Kota Kinabalu. Myanmar, there is a new project going on called Dala New Town, and this KCity network for 2020 is focusing on the priority development zone. Peru, in Cusco, they have the plan to relocate the airport, and this smart city development project is about the current airport area. So it is in the middle of the city, and it has very big potential to develop as a smart city. Russia, in the Bolshoi Kamensk region, there is also a smart city concept planning application was received, and it was decided to be supported. Vietnam had 2 applications. Among the 2, Mekong Delta region smart city development project was chosen. So about 5 or 6 candidate cities, they will look at the situation and they will do the analysis, and finally they will come up with the pre-feasibility study for the most promising smart city project for one city. The other 6 are like Colombia and Laos, Mongolia, Thailand, Turkey projects, and these are about smart solutions. For Colombia, it is about intelligent transportation system. Laos is about urban drainage. Mongolia is about smart mobility. Thailand also about Khon Kaen city is smart mobility. And there are 2 projects for Turkey. One is for Gaziantep and the other is for Ankara. Both of them are about e-government applications. So as you see, there are many different kinds of projects were submitted and are being supported. So once identifying the target projects, how do we develop further? Smart city projects cannot be financed solely by project financing scheme. They often require various funding sources and complicated structuring. So if we simplify the project development processes into 3 stages, then it could be project planning and the setting up business model as the first stage. And in the second stage, setting up financial schemes and processing the land permits and licenses. Lastly, the investment can be made and construction and operation will be followed. So if we simplify these project development stages into 3, then in the project planning, you can utilize KCity Network and knowledge sharing program and EIPP, and grants and feasibility study support from KIND or ICAK or other ministries. And when it comes to smart city projects, there are a few business models can be applied. Build, operate, and sell, build and sell, then build, and in-block sale and leaseback, and other kinds of business models. So district by district or area by area, we have to set up different business model if it is required. And when it comes to financing schemes, we can utilize grants and soft loans. And important source of debt financing can be export credits. An important source of private investment can be public-private partnership. And this public-private partnership needs investor-friendly policies. And what kind of investor-friendly policies would be mobilized is your decision as well. So for this kind of financing schemes set up, and all these export credits and grants and soft loans, you can get the help from KOICA, KXIM, KSURE, and KIND, and other governmental infrastructure companies called LH and K-Water. Of course, private companies and investors, they can contribute directly for the project's structuring. Later, investment level, KIND and the new fund called PIS fund can be the investor of your projects. And these are two sample projects. One is Dala New City Development. So it is very interesting to see that the master planning was supported by KOICA, the grant organization of Korea, in 2014. And after KIND was founded, KIND supported pre-feasibility study for the first phase in 2019 and this year. And also MOEF developed new program called EIPP, and this EIPP will cover the whole area master plan until next year. So this kind of various sources of project planning is now being mobilized, and regional government is also giving full support, and this kind of different project planning funding sources can be very important for developing these new projects. Lastly, the most important factor that makes this Dala New City very promising is the connecting bridge to Myanmar's capital, Yangon, supported by Korea Exim's EDCF. And although this is not finalized yet, there is a project being developed called First Modernized Agro-Fishery Wholesale Center near Hanoi, Vietnam. So KDB, Korea Development Bank, works as the financial advisory, and Korea Rural Community Corporation as technical advisory, and KIND supported feasibility study to develop further. So this smart wholesale system, which is a smart solution for urban development, and Korean governmental institutions' full support, and the workable business model also makes this project going on. So when you finish the project planning, what you need is you need the investment and financing. So I will introduce KIND's business model and also other kinds of funding sources called PIS fund. KIND basically work as the sponsor, as the investor together with Korean investor or local investor, and also KIND can participate in lender side through KIND invested infrastructure fund and by purchasing SPC issued bonds. And there is a new fund called PIS. And this PIS fund, because KIND is investing in, it can be the important source of lending for your projects. So lastly, in the two last slides, I will show you the pitfalls to avoid and some suggestions. So from our previous experiences, sometimes we encounter very ambitious governmental servants or public workers who set too ambitious goals, such as zero-emission smart city or AI smart city or multi-tens of billion-dollar projects. but sometimes it can deter the project because sometimes it is too big, then you can do the project financing very difficult. So populating the target areas. So you should set up the target areas, and populating it in sustainable enough manner always precedes too ambitious projects. And this is the opposite case. Some governmental people, they didn't have very strong opinion, and they depend on too much on consultant suggestion on needed smart solutions. So you should proactively provide your opinions, and such opinions should be based on your own cultural or economic or legal environment. And sticking to rigid options for investor-friendly policies can be a very big obstacle for promoting projects. So from your discussion with the government, if the minimum revenue guarantee or viability gap funding are not accepted, then you should be also flexible enough to consider other tax benefits or accounting rule benefits and other kinds of investor-friendly policies. And this could be a very basic one, so we should not be confused with the cause and result when planning a smart city. Because sometimes we encounter some cases that if you build a beautiful infrastructure for some new industrial park, then the companies can flock very naturally. But sometimes it is a wrong idea, because when they have the business opportunities, then without infrastructure, the private companies can flock naturally. But without business opportunities, but with very good infrastructure, it is very difficult to bring the private companies. So we should be able to, stick to the cause that can bring the population, and that can bring private companies, and the result can be followed. So there are three final suggestions and requests from the perspective of governmental investor kind, and also as the KCity Network program operator. So G2G cooperation is very vital for identifying and collaboration on new crucial projects. So we should stay in close communication with focus on smart city development. And all applications of KCity Network are as important as the selected ones. So for the selected 12 projects, we will keep on managing the quality, and we will try hard to provide meaningful results. And for the not selected ones, we will also manage the whole application pipeline and discuss with your governments. And blended financing among various financial sources is very complicated, but it is also very crucial. So we already set up some new kinds of discussion platform together with the KOICA and KXIM and other MDBs. So we will elevate the level of cooperation in the future. And also, please share your financing plan so that we can advise the optimal blended financing structure. So far, we've covered why Korea is the best partner for your smart city projects, and for your smart city project development, why KCity Network is important. And after project planning, even supported by the KCity Network, how do we develop further? So we discuss those matters today, and I hope these are helpful for you and your future projects. Thank you very much.